beautiful friendship.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
No. I am your father.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You're listening to After the Ending, the only film podcast where we tell you what happens after the ending of your favorite films. And now, here are your hosts, Mike Spring and Phil Edwards.
Good afternoon / good morning / good evening, whatever time of day you are listening. Welcome to After the Ending. I'm Mike Spring.
And I'm Phil Edwards.
And we are back now this week / right now. The whole live / sometimes it's recorded thing gets very weird. Plus, I realized I just said / like 13 times in a row, so I apologize. I've been listening to too much Guns N' Roses lately. But it's weird. But if you're watching us live, welcome back from a few minutes ago. If you're catching up in the after, sounds like a dramatic David Lynch film. If you're catching up in the after, welcome back from the last time you watched and or listened. But we are here to talk about our top 5 list and our recommendations. Phil, do you want to tell people what our top 5 list is today?
Yes, in this post-credits episode, we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite drill sergeants.
Yes.
Drill sergeants. You know, the guy who turns up and shouts a lot at the people who are training to be the soldiers. Often they can only be in a film like for a few scenes, but they usually have a huge impact on the main character and on us because they're right in your face. Sometimes they're in it for huge amounts of a huge portion of the film. But while making this list, I was surprised just how many there are.
Well, that's why I was thinking of it. So I won't say what film, but yesterday I watched a film I'd never seen before, and the drill sergeant character was really, really well done, and I liked him. And it made me think, maybe go, there are so many movies where you have that very kind of traditional drill sergeant, the guy gets up in the recruits' faces and he yells at them and he says, you're a maggot, or whatever it is, drop and give me 20. Like, I feel like I don't know if it's the same way in the UK. That's a very in the pop culture lexicon thing in like the US to be like, when if you're joking around with somebody who did something wrong, you're like, drop and give me 20, even though they're not really going to give you push-ups. It's just sort of like, it's so ingrained in your brain from these many, many movies, war films and action films and things where you have these sequences with drill sergeants. And like you said, sometimes they're a big part of the film, sometimes they're a very small part of the film, but they're always so memorable. So I thought, yeah, we've never done anything like that. Why not do our top 5 drill sergeants?
Yeah, totally. I know exactly what you mean, though, because often drop and give me 20 is it's one of those things you do often say, but mainly because over here in the UK, we've probably got a lot of it from the American movies because that's where you mainly see it. I'm sure there are some English films, British films where there is a drill sergeant. They've escaped me at the minute, and there's none on my list. They are all
right. Mine either, but that's okay. I'm sure they're out there. But I just didn't know if it had kind of entered the pop culture lexicon. But like you said, it's sort of from the American movies. It is a very prevalent thing, So I thought it would be a fun list to do. Why not? Now, Phil, I'm curious. I actually have a question for you. What did you use as your criteria? Like, when you say favorite, do you mean like the one you'd most want to be your drill sergeant, or more like the one you most enjoyed watching, even if that meant they were like a terrible person or whatever? Like, how did you form your list? I'm curious.
Probably ones I most enjoyed watching, because there's no way on earth I'd want anyone to be a drill sergeant to me. I've got no inclination to be like that. I have the utmost respect for people who do.
Oh, absolutely.
Who enter the armed forces and things like that and put their life on the line. For us and things like that, but yeah, I don't want anybody to be shouting at me like that, because I'd be panicked. I'd probably laugh, which would probably make things worse. A nervous laugh. I'm quite good at a nervous laugh. No, there's no way I'd want to do it. There's no way I'd want to be a drill sergeant. Maybe I've been saying air a lot as well, I've noticed.
I would only be a drill sergeant if I could pick.
A drill sergeant would, if he didn't notice me saying air a lot, he'd also shout that out to me. So maybe I could do with a drill sergeant for that part of it. But
yeah, I would only want to be
he shouted at us when we're doing things we shouldn't be doing or saying. Right.
I would only want to be a drill sergeant if I could pick the people who are going into my platoon, because I could think of some people I wouldn't mind yelling at all day long. Yeah, I always think whenever I watch a movie like that, and I watched one yesterday, And I think, who watches these movies and then wants to go into the armed forces? Like, that terrifies me. And again, utmost respect for people who do, but I just think, like, boy, like, the people who sign up for the military, like, did you skip all of those movies? Because I don't. That's so scary. Some of those drill sergeants are so, like, in your face. I'm like, man, I do not want that. Now, I don't know if they're all like that in real life. I imagine, like anything else, there is a spectrum of drill sergeants, from people who are the stereotypical yelling at you 24/7 to people who are maybe more relaxed or more understanding. I don't know, because I've never been in the military. But
Yeah.
so if any of our viewers, our live viewers, have been in the military and they have an example they want to share about their drill sergeant who were, if they were terrible or awesome or whatever, let us know. I'd be curious to hear that.
Yeah, bring it on. If you're watching live on Facebook, you can leave comments. We'll be able to see it.
Yep.
Flash it for you and discuss
Please
it.
do.
But, yeah, I think the drill sergeant, though, the reason why they do shout and do that thing, it does serve a purpose, though, isn't it? You break a person down to build them back up again.
Right. It's all about instilling that discipline, for sure. All right, well, let's get into our lists. Do you want to start, or you want me to start?
You start the last. I'll start this one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, my first one. Technically it's right, but he's not technically a sergeant. He's actually a major, but it's from the 1967 film The Dirty Dozen. It's Major John. What do you pronounce it? Major John Reisman or Reisman? I can't remember, but it's The Dirty Dozen. Lee Marvin plays him, and Lee Marvin's always good. He can just make you feel, just with a look, he can just put you in your place. But in this one, he's putting together a bunch of soldiers who've been arrested. They're all criminals, all a bit dodgy, a little bit way, a little bit woo. If you're in the UK, you'll know what that reference is. But he puts them together, and he has to train them to work as a unit, because they're all a bunch of loners and people who don't like working as a team. Hence the reason they've been arrested. They're not team players. But he breaks them down in certain ways. He also lifts them up. I was going to say mollycoddle them. He doesn't mollycoddle them, but he puts them through the paces and puts together a team, because he needs them to undergo a mission to target target some high-ranking German officers. It's basically going to be a suicide mission. This was Suicide Squad before the Suicide Squad comic was a thing, but it's the same premise. I suppose it's John Ostrander created Suicide Squad. Anyway, the comic book writer who created it, it probably was based in part on the Dirty Dozen, because it's criminals.
I would imagine so.
That's my number 5.
Very good choice. All right.
By Lee Marvin.
So my number 5 is the only movie on my list that... No, actually, that's not true. Never mind. I'll just start here then. Number 5 on my list is for Sergeant Apone, played by Al Matthews, oh so memorably, in 1986's Aliens by Jim Cameron. Now, this is, I think, the only movie I picked where it wasn't like a dedicated training sequence. Most other movies, like the drill sergeants, were more like in when they're training the recruits. In this film, he is already an established sergeant with an established platoon, but he is very much in that classic mold of the drill sergeant. He's smoking the cigar, chewing on the stogie, and he's walking up and down. He's like, yelling at them, like, "Get in order, you grunts," and all that. That's not even close to being a line from Aliens, but I can't think of anything he said.
Look into my eye.
Yeah, stay frosty, that type of stuff. But he was like, "All right, ladies and gents, hold on to your whatever." And he did the whole sort of like motivational speech that was kind of half yelled and half, also yelled. And I thought he kind of fit that mold of that. And he's just so charismatic and so I don't know, he's like a joyful character in a very dark movie, until things go wrong. But yeah, so Sergeant Apone from Aliens was my number 5.
That's very good. I do like they're quite possibly the worst Aliens quotes I've ever heard, Mike. But you did it well.
Totally. I don't know why I blank. I could do his whole speech from memory if I could just get it started. I could probably do the whole thing, and I just completely blanked on anything he said. I'm probably gonna look it up. I'm not gonna lie. While you're doing your next one, I'm probably gonna look it up
now. All right, sweetheart, you heard the man, and you know the drill. There you go. But my number 4 is Sergeant Apone as well.
There you go.
So he's my number 4. Played by Al Matthews. Like you said, it's not the classic drill sergeant scenes where he's training them all up, but he's getting them all going again. He's psyching them all up. So that Jamie Fern has just left another comment about Miss Trunchbull from what's that, Matilda? Yeah, it's outside the box, but yeah, that I suppose it fits the criteria. She does treat the kids like soldiers, and she
that's right.
Down, but she has no intention of building them back up. She's one of the bad types of the drill sergeants.
That's a good
quote.
example. I like that.
But yeah, Sergeant Apone in Aliens, he just gets them motivated as they come out the cold sleep, shouting at them. You can tell he doesn't want to be there anyway. But like you said as well, he's one of the moments of levity.
Yes.
One of the few moments in the film. Him and Hicks and Hudson.
Hicks is not funny.
Yeah, him and Hudson are the ones which sort of relieve the tension a bit. But I reckon Sergeant, out of this list, probably Sergeant Apone is the one I'd probably like to be my drill sergeant.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's another glorious day in the Corps. A day in the Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal's a banquet. Every paycheck a fortune. Every formation's a parade. I love the Corps. That's a much better quote.
Who yeah?
I had to redeem myself.
Yeah, you did it. You did it, Mike. You brought it up.
Thank you. All right, good. So my number 4, there's probably going to be some overlap on our list today, I'm guessing, Phil.
Oh, I think so. I
felt like really beyond a certain point, I think I got 1 or 2 that I'll throw you for, but I think there's going to be 2 or 3 that we're going to overlap on. But we'll see. Maybe not. My number 4 is Sergeant Zim, played by Clancy Brown from 1997 Starship Troopers. Great film that I'm a big fan of. It's a big cult classic. A lot of people love. Mostly made the list because he's Clancy Brown. We've talked about him on the show before. Of course, he's the Kurgan from Highlander. Phil and I got to meet him a couple years ago at Comic-Con. He's just such a great character actor, and like a drill sergeant is sort of the type of role he was, born to play. He's a big dude. He's a gruff dude, at least on screen. And it's such watching these soldiers train, and some of them get killed and things like that during the training sequences. He's just a really fun part of the movie. So that's my number 4, Sergeant Zim from Starship Troopers.
Well, as you said, there'll be some overlap. There we are again. My number 3 is Sergeant Zim. Sorry, viewers, but this does happen.
It'll get more interesting soon because I'm pretty sure I'm going to take a couple left turns coming up.
Okay, well, yeah, Sergeant Zim, Starship Troopers, Clancy Brown. You've already said it.
There you
go. As Richard Brown saying, medic, because people in Starship Troopers, the soldiers get limbs ripped off during training. Yep. Training is vicious, but we get the classic training montage as well. He's shouting people out, chewing them out, as they say. But he's one of the drill sergeants who does have a heart of gold. He does care about his platoon, soldiers under him. And as the time goes on as well, he gets in the fights as well. And you can see the respect he has for some of them in Starship Troopers, even though it's all the way it portrays them. Paul Verhoeven, he does it so well because it's basically all fascist bastards. Pardon my language there, sorry, but
that's all right. We'll call that one.
Yeah, but it's oh no, now Siri's getting in on it. So no. I'm sorry, Siri, I didn't mean to use
Siri has an opinion on drill sergeants too, perhaps. Maybe she had one.
He's another one. I do like it, and it's the second sci-fi one.
Right.
On my list.
I almost said that Aliens was the only one that takes place in the future, and then I looked at my list and I was like, nope, my very next one also takes place in the future. So,
yep.
But now I'm going to bring it back to reality with my number 3. From here on out, it's all actual wars. Well, I mean, fictional films, but about real wars. And I think I might get you at this one that we won't have an overlap. Maybe. We'll see. My number 3 is Sergeant Howell, played by Vince Vaughn in 2016's Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Starring Andrew Garfield, directed by Mel Gibson. Really good. I love the first half of that movie a lot. It's about this Desmond Doss, who's a conscientious objector, but he's in the army, but he refuses to carry a weapon on religious grounds, but he saves people as a medic. And Andrew Garfield's terrific in it. The first half of the movie is all his training and his fight to be in the army and not have to use a weapon. The second half of the movie kind of turns into a bloodbath. It's a little too gory. I don't know what Mel Gibson's deal with blood is, but I really like the movie. But Vince Vaughn is, on one hand, kind of your stereotypical drill sergeant. A lot of yelling, a lot of in your face, stuff like that. But he does the thing where he occasionally softens up a bit, and he's trying to get Desmond Doss to quit the army. And he kind of does he almost does the good cop, bad cop thing, but with himself as the good cop and the bad cop, right? Yeah. At one point, he's makes everybody else in the platoon do something because of something that Desmond does, trying to turn them against him. At another point, he's like, come on, man. Why don't you just quit? No one's going to think any less of you. You're a good guy. He kind of plays both the good cop and the bad cop. And actually, Vince Vaughn, who I do enjoy greatly, but he can very much a lot of times just sort of play Vince Vaughn. He can just show up looking like he spent the night in a dumpster, like he always seems to look. And, he can kind of phone it in sometimes, I think. Not in the good movies, though, I think. And this movie, he was really terrific. He was one of those characters that you just sort of like, even though he does some unlikable things. And I just thought it was a great performance from him. So that's my number 3. Vince Vaughn turning in a great performance as Sergeant Howell in Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, that's an excellent choice. Not on my list, but
See, I thought so.
but he's great, and the reason he's doing it all is because he thinks that Doss is just going to end up dying if he doesn't carry it. So you can see how much he cares.
Right.
This guy could end up dying, but also could cause problems for the other soldiers in the platoon. So he's trying to save people's lives. But yeah, sometimes Vince Vaughn can look so money. But, but an excellent choice, and I did enjoy the film. And I just said it's very bloody at the end, but I think part of that is also just to show the true horrors of what they were doing and what Desmond Doss was going up against. But it probably could have been toned down a bit, but it's all based on a very true story, and it's amazing. I remember watching it and going, no way.
Right.
No way. And then you see the thing, the cliff you had to climb up and down, real photos of it, and it's amazing.
It is. It's an amazing story. I understand the whole horrors of war thing, and I get that. I just think it was too. I think you can convey those horrors without having to literally show every person's insides on the screen. I think you can flick the point across if there's a way to do it. Personally,
very true.
So anyway, what's your next one?
My number 2 is Sergeant Thomas Highway, played by Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge.
Good one.
1986. It's set in 1983, so it's a more modern one.
Mm-hmm.
But I like this one. He's playing a character. He's playing the drill sergeant, so we're following him. He's the main character, which is a little bit different from lots of these films. He's facing retirement, but then he gets involved training another platoon. But he's using the way he's trained people all through the years, and lots of the other people on the at the base don't like the way he's using these old-fashioned. They think he's old-fashioned in everything he does, so they try and show him up and try to show that it's not going to work. They think his platoon's going to be not going to be as good as the other platoons. So there's all this. I like the way it's the old school coming up against the new school and butting heads. But then we do see when it all kicks off, his platoon, the training he's put them through, they all come together, and it's a great film. I watched it a few times. I remember when it came out, and I've not watched it. There's quite a few Clint Eastwood films where I watch again and again through the years, but this is one which seems to keep slipping through. I don't know why, but I need to give it a watch again, because it must be about 20 odd years ago since I last watched it. But I always remember Clint Eastwood being great in it, because he's a drill sergeant, but because we're following him, we see this. Not the softer side, but we see the more human side as well, and how he cares for the people in his platoon, and he's doing it all because he wants them to be able to fight, protect each other, get the mission done, get in out as quick as they can. And I remember being some moments when I was watching this, just had a big grin on my face when he just does Clint Eastwood stuff and just shows how cool he can be.
Yeah, it did not make my list, actually, and the reason is because I have not seen Heartbreak Ridge. It is in my queue right now, and I'm actually now, because we're doing this list, I think I'm going to watch it tonight. So ask me again tomorrow, maybe he would be on my list, but as of right now, I have never actually seen it. It is Heartbreak Ridge, right? That's the name of it, Heartbreak Ridge?
Yeah, Heartbreak Ridge.
We had a Hacksaw Ridge and a Heartbreak Ridge right next to each other, so
of course,
but no actual overlap. So good choice. I think I'm going to have to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
All right, good. So my number 2 then is Merwin J. Toomey, played by Christopher Walken in 1988's Biloxi Blues, directed by Mike Nichols, based on the Neil Simon play starring Matthew Broderick. This is the movie that inspired this list, okay? I had never seen Biloxi. I know it's pronounced Biloxi, but I can't bring myself to say Biloxi Blues. It just doesn't sound right for some reason. Yeah. I had never seen Biloxi Blues. I wanted to see it when I was younger because Matthew Broderick was in it and he was Ferris Bueller, and I wanted to see everything he was in back then, and I just never got around to it. And so yesterday I was just kind of flipping around, looking for something to watch, and there it was. So I said, I'm going to watch this. And I actually really enjoyed the movie. It's a great movie. But Christopher Walken plays Sergeant Merwin J. Toomey. And it's interesting because he starts off very much like he's their pal. He kind of comes out and is like, oh, hey, how's it going? And this Christopher Walken voice, hey, there you go. How you doing? I can't do Christopher Walken either. I was like Joey from Friends, really. But anyway, he's very Christopher Walken. He's not. He's kind of Christopher Walken. You know what I mean? But he kind of starts off like real friendly and stuff. But then he sort of starts picking on Jerome's character, Matthew Broderick's character, Eugene Jerome, and a couple other of the main characters. And he kind of, he sort of goes back and forth between being sort of friendly and sort of seeming like a fair guy and then sort of being like a complete nightmare. And at the end of the film, I don't want to give anything away, but he sort of starts to teeter on the edge a little bit. The main character's hijinks, if you will. It's not really accurate. It's not that kind of movie, but the things that they're going through and the things that they say sort of push him to the edge where he is like, he kind of maybe wants to take some extreme actions, but he has this really neat moment at the end when they do this sort of discussion of what their fantasies are, things they want to do before they die. And he has a really neat moment in his that I liked a lot. I just thought he was one of the best parts of the movie. And I think Christopher Walken is always, he's always Christopher Walken. I don't often think he's the best part of a movie. He's just usually Christopher Walken. Not a bad thing, but but I really liked this movie quite a bit actually, and I really liked him in it. So if you've never seen Biloxi Blues, track it down. It's actually really good. It's really worth watching. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But he's in the whole movie takes place in basic training, so he's easily one of the main characters. Gets a lot of screen time. So that's my number 2, Merwin Toomey from Biloxi Blues.
Okay, yeah, it's a film that I've never seen either because I remember always seeing the trailers and the posters, and I really liked it. And like you, because of Ferris Bueller, it's one I always meant to watch and never got around to it.
Same as I was. It's definitely worth it if you can find it. I think it's on. I don't know which streaming service I watched it on. It's on one of them, but it's worth it. Definitely give it a try.
And I always like seeing Christopher Walken. I've got a signed picture of Christopher Walken up on the wall.
Nice.
Yeah, but
this one then.
It was a birthday present, but yeah, I used to be able to do. Well, no, I used to always try and be able to do.
I remember we used to have there's eagle-eared listeners will be able to find some of Phil's Christopher Walken impressions and some of our.
I can't do it now. It's been ages since we've even tried. I'm not going to try live on a video now.
Why?
Yeah. Wow.
There you go.
That's a minute, but I'm going to have to practice that again. Wow. Yeah. Watch. No. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I digress.
All right. Let me before you get to your number 1, let me preface by saying I have a sneaking suspicion we both have the same number 1 because I feel like there's really only one choice.
Yes, I think the same. And we don't discuss the list beforehand. I've had some overlap, but I fully expect it to be the same.
Because there's some lists where I think they're very subjective and you can sort of you can make an argument for anything. But I think in this one, there really is one choice that's just so iconic and so like what you think of when you think of a film, Drill Sergeant. It kind of has to be the same one. Now I'll be embarrassed if we're on 2 completely different pages, but I think we're not.
Yeah, I'm wishing I could draw up another Drill Sergeant. And I've gone blank.
Don't do it unless you're confident, Phil. Don't ruin it.
My number 1, and probably yours, is Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket, played by the wonderful R. Lee Ermey, who also did the same kind of thing in The Frighteners briefly.
Yep.
But that's my favorite one because also he was a drill instructor in real life. And there was a song sampling him from a Full Metal Jacket, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
For it, I want to be your drill instructor or something like that. But yeah, he's the guy who trains him up in Stanley Kubrick's 1987 Full Metal Jacket film, a film of 2 halves, which we all agree. But the first half is on the basic training where R. Lee Ermey comes on and just shouts and just stands and you can see he's out of all the drill sergeants we've mentioned. You do realize when you find out that he did this in real life. You can see he just brings it, and I reckon the actors must have been, oh my God, what am I doing?
I'm sure they felt like they were really in boot camp with him yelling at them like that. It had to be intense.
Totally, because you get Matthew Modine, Lee Ermey, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Adam Baldwin and more. But he just comes in and just smacks them all around.
Oh yeah,
pushes them too far in many places. He pushes them so they don't care. He pushes them so they become absolute killing machines, and then he pushes them so they do terrible things. And he's just every scene he's in, your eyes are on him. You just you wouldn't want to meet him. You wouldn't want to be you wouldn't want to have him as your drill instructor, but when he's on screen, you just can't. He's just brilliant. He's just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, obviously that was my number 1 as well, and I think it kind of had to be because, honestly, when you heard us say our list today was top 5 drill sergeants, he's probably who you pictured in your head. He is just such the iconic, and he played a lot of other military characters in his career because he was a military man. He kind of became a famous actor from playing military characters mostly, right? That was his bread and butter. But like, if you think of a drill sergeant, in my mind, that's who comes to my mind is R. Lee Ermey with that hat and the uniform, getting in people's faces and yelling at them just nonstop. And you will do what I say, maggot. Yeah, spit flying, like veins popping. Like, I mean, just he is the picture perfect drill sergeant. Like you said, the one I would least want to be my drill sergeant. Terrifying human being. In the films, you know, and this character especially is like just so over the top, not over the top, just so intense. But I just can't picture anybody else as a number one, because it's just, that's who I literally picture when I think of a drill sergeant.
Yeah, and knowing Stanley Kubrick, he often did take after take.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder how R. Lee Ermey felt about doing them all the time.
You know, part of me is like, he must have been exhausted, and part of me is like, you know, he was probably so used to it, he probably did it and didn't even, because what's he gonna do, question orders? That's not really a drill sergeant thing. That's right?
An excellent point, yeah.
You know,
I did like the fact, though, as well, as I briefly mentioned, he did appear in The Frighteners, the Peter Jackson.
Yes.
One of Peter Jackson's almost forgotten films, maybe, but the one which started Michael J. Fox.
A cult classic, I feel like, though.
Oh yeah, cult classic.
Very well loved.
But it's when he popped up as well out of the graveyard as a ghost. I did like that.
No, absolutely. We do have a comment from Richard saying, given Kubrick's multiple takes and Ermey's part, you can see why D'Onofrio convincingly loses it. Absolutely. Yeah. I can imagine that probably wasn't a big stretch for him at that point, because he was probably so, you know, mentally fried that maybe there wasn't that much acting. Maybe it was a little more reacting, you know? So, yeah, that's a good point.
Probably lots of the other actors who were playing the soldiers, they were probably thinking, I'm an actor. I didn't want to go into the army, or maybe some of them did, but then to have to face that and do it for real, because it was just so good. I also, by the way, I was like Jamie's impression of Christopher Walken and the chapter.
Yeah, what is coming through on the comments is wow. Okay, wow. I get it. Wow. I was trying to figure out which point we made that she was reacting to, but now I get it.
Well, everybody would say wow all the way through, because it's all a slice of fried gold whenever we do a new episode.
Oh, our impressions are legendary. I think everyone who listens or watches this show knows that, you know, if you want impressions that are, we'll say, memorable, this is the place to come. Notice I didn't say just memorable.
You might not recognize them, but it's definitely
exactly. All right, so there you go. That's our top 5 drill sergeants. So good. A couple overlaps, but also some different ones. I think that makes sense. Some very iconic performances, but also some room for variation. So that was a fun list to do.
It was.
So let's say if you're watching or listening after the live episode, feel free to still comment with your favorite drill sergeants from movies. We'll be happy to share those in a future episode or comment back or things like that. So we definitely want to hear from you. But now it's time for ATE Recommends, which is, of course, Phil, do you want to tell people what ATE Recommends is all about?
Yeah, this is when because we've been discussing films, because it's a film podcast video thing, but this is the moment where we can also talk about other things which are not always film related. So books, music, video games, you name it. Food. So last time I did a cookbook. Right.
Yeah.
I
did a CD. I think I did the latest Weezer album. We got some recommendations. It varies from week to week. I think you went first last time, Phil, right? So I guess
so you hit me up with what you've got this time.
All right. So this one, I only have one this week again. It's a nice chunky one though, and it's comic book related. I know that's not a surprise. I do a lot of comic related ones, but this is Superman: The Man of Steel. It's actually volume 3, but I'm going to talk about the whole all 3 volumes real quickly. So for comics fans who have been reading for a long time, you'll probably remember that back in the 1980s, John Byrne, who's one of the legendary comic book talents, took over doing Superman, did 2 Superman comics at the same time, which is mind-boggling. Wrote them and drew them. And it's really some of my favorite Superman stories, and it's always been issues that I have read kind of sporadically. Like I picked up the miniseries here. I picked up a couple issues here. Get them from the quarter box, the dollar box. I never sat and read the whole run from start to finish. And what they've been doing is collecting them all in these volumes, and they're mixing in. What I like is they're all of John Byrne's issues, but they also mix in, because there's 3 Superman comics, and Byrne was doing 2 of them, and they mixed in the 3rd comic so that they're being reprinted as well. So you get the full story, the full continuity. Wow. You get John Byrne's issues, and you also get the ones by Marv Wolfman, who is the writer, and I forget who the artist at the moment is. But and they're not as good as John Byrne's, but they're still part of the overall story. So there's 3 volumes of The Man of Steel by John Byrne. Volumes 1, 2, they've all come out within the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 months. The reason I picked this one to share is because it is brand new. It just came out last Wednesday. It might not even be on Amazon. Well, it'll be on Amazon stuff. It's coming out probably this week. I got it from my local comic store. Support your local comic store. But I've had a blast rereading these. They're some of my favorite Superman stories. It's kind of a kind of a simpler time for Superman. Stories that are still complex, but not as involved as they are now, where you have to read 27 crossovers and, there's 800 characters. It's a little bit more of like Superman, Lois Lane, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and whatever bad guy. And then sometimes some cosmic stuff where Superman goes into space and saves the planet, stuff like that. I think they're really great. I'm a big Superman fan, always have been. If you like the character, I don't think you can do much better than these volumes with John Byrne's run. So that's my recommendation this week. What do you got, Will?
That's excellent. I do remember reading I always liked the John Byrne Superman stories. I always liked his portrayal of Superman, the art style as well. Always evoked Christopher Reeve a lot.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite creators in general. His X-Men run is legendary. His Fantastic Four run is legendary. I don't use that word lightly. But I like his Superman. His artwork was great for it. He is the very classic, barrel-chested, Superman. And his storytelling is just so great. It's so, I don't know. It's like simple and clean and concise and yet epic and big in scope and expansive at the same time. So good stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, but like you as well, I remember reading them, but it was never... I always missed lots out. There was always one or two.
Right. Because I went back afterwards. I didn't read them at the time, and so I was always like, "Oh, here's a John Byrne issue. I'll read that." So it's nice to get the whole story.
I think they were reprinted a bit over here in like a slightly larger size kind of comic collection. We'd have 2 or 3, but I had a few of them. But yeah, that's definitely well worth picking up. Mine is my recommendation is a novel. It's called The Fisherman, a novel by John Langan.
Okay.
And it's well, as people will know, I do like a bit of Lovecraftian cosmic horror. This one is it's definitely a horror with a whole Lovecraftian feel to it, but it's all about a man who sadly his wife passes away, but he finds joy in going out fishing, and he ends up meeting another man who's also had a tragedy in his life, and they all go out fishing around where he lives. In whereabouts is it? In Lovecraft Country, basically. But he goes fishing, and they connect, and they start healing, and then they go out one day because this other guy who he met has told them about this spot where you can go fishing. And as they get there, they stop off at a diner and get told this tale about what happened in the past. And then when they reach this spot, there's things in the water, there's things moving in the forest, and they end up finding out what the fisherman is and find a sea that shouldn't be there. And it's full of people with too many teeth. Reading it, I've been going, "Oh, this is really good. I'm enjoying this, but I'm going to stop now for the moment and then pick it up the next day in 2 and 3." But it's really good. It's really evocative. It deals with loss. It deals with healing. It deals with really creepy, scary things. But I like the way he writes and describes scenes, and it's that's mine. The Fisherman.
Show us the cover again.
Pardon?
I was asking you to show us the cover, but you beat me to it. So
yeah, The Fisherman, a novel by John Langan. It's a lovely cover as well.
I will have to check that out because this does sound like it's right up my alley. I do like a good kind of scary, page-turning novel, and I'm always looking for good new books. So
yeah, and it's published by Weirdhorde.
Okay.
Weirdhorde, and you can find them at weirdhorde.com. But I picked it up on Amazon. But as you said, go to your local bookshop now that they're open. Pick it up from there. Support your local bookshop, your comic shop, record store, all the local businesses. Go do that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, very cool. So there you go. That is our post-credits episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you to everybody who commented live, as always. Don't forget, if you're watching or listening after the live episode, join us every other Monday on Facebook at the After the Ending Facebook page. And you can comment and join in the fun as well. Phil, anything to add before we sign off?
You've said it all. It's been a good episode. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's commented. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. I think that's about it. We'll join us next time where we'll be talking about more films, more recommendations. We'll have a top 5. I tell you what they're going to be, but we don't know yet because we're playing it fast and loose these days, often deciding on the day we do it.
Yeah, or the day before a lot of times too. But yeah, we're having fun with it. We're definitely
makes it more fun for me, Mike, because you're suddenly going, "Oh yeah, I know.
Right. Hey, what about this film? Yeah, sure. Sounds good. So we're having some fun with it. I hope you guys are too. All right. Well, on that note, then we will wrap things up. And again, thank you for listening and or watching. My name is Mike Spring.
And I'm Phil Edwards.
And we'll see you next time.
Hold on. We got one more comment.
Oh, we got a last minute comment that came in.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's from Chris, who says, and there's me thinking I was showing at the beginning of the show. Sorry, Chris. That's no fun.
Yeah.
Well, you get to see our outro at least, and that's something. So.
And on that bombshell, I'm Phil Edwards.
Well, I will see you. And that's the end. So we'll see you next time.
After the ending.
All right. Take care.